the Feast of the Trumpets. If you've read that message, you can also look it up through the cell phone database. I read that when I was young, but I couldn't remember. But the level 3, whenever I hear them at Binondo, they spread the 7 trumpets here. They spread the 7 trumpets in the church age. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the 7 church ages. This is the tribulation period. According to them, it's 3.5 years. So, trumpets 1 to it's the seals. But they say the 7th trumpet is for the gathering of Israel. I was mistaken when I told you there at the door that the 6th is at the dreadful day of the Lord. It's the 6th seal, it's not the 6th trumpet. Anyway, I'll recall exactly what I heard. You can recall also in Binondo, Pastor Bata, Pastor Yap, Pastor Pardilio, even Caballero and Marlito was still there. They emphasized, they all agreed through the Feast of the Trumpets message of Brother Branham that trumpet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are in the church age, and 6 and 7 is in the tribulation. Am I correct? So they said the 7th trumpet was for the gathering of Israel. Okay. Or am I mistaken that 4 was in the church age and 3 was in the tribulation? Okay, somewhere there. Now, I'm sharing this, so when you go to Bicol Albay, Ligaw, you can ask them for their version, the level 3. So, level 2, have you heard it from Roel Soriano, Brother Lito?
The level 3 is a different application of the 7th trumpet in the 7 church ages.
So,
it's different from the
yes, it's different. Level 3, I remember in Binondo, they spread the 7 trumpets between the church ages and the tribulation. They spread it out. I just forgot if the last 3 trumpets were in the tribulation or last 2. So, but the seals, similar to the seals, they put the last seal there. I remember they said that, of course, they quote from Brother Branham, the trumpet is for the gathering of Israel, the 7th trumpet. Now, I ask you, Brother Lito, when you were in level 2, did they also teach the same way? Did they spread the 7 trumpets among the church ages and the tribulation? Could you come nearer so it could be recorded?
If I'm not mistaken,
Come nearer to the camera.
did that apply?
Permanent, did you start the recording the topic?
If I'm not mistaken, did that apply the 3 last trumpet will apply in the tribulation?
They all applied it in the church age? Oh. So I'm gonna let... Okay. If ever they did, that is exactly the teaching of the Jehovah's Witness and the Seventh-day Adventist. And no wonder Brother Branham was reading from them. Brother Branham admitted he was taking things from them. Okay? That's why there's a teaching in level 3 that before 1963, he was still denominational. After 1963, it was all spoken from heaven. But he never changed that topic. Now, if ever there was a change, this is the format. He spread the trumpets in the church ages and in the tribulation period. Okay. So, how many minutes did I take up? So, I'm going to share my perspective on this. Brother Branham was not the final uh, revelator in all details. He was like a star up in Jerusalem that it is beneficial for you if you are far away. Generally, it's a star messenger. When you go to Jerusalem, the star is high above. It doesn't go into details. It will not help, the star high above will not help the wise men find Christ. So, the star has to come down. The star that came down is the fivefold minister. So, not everything was explained in the booklets, in the quotes, in the sermons. And it is a big mistake to say you don't need anything else but the quotes. You don't need anything else but the sermons. Why am I saying this? Because when Brother Branham preached this, he admitted he took from the Seventh-day Adventists. It doesn't mean it's wrong. But just as he said, everything should be screened by the Bible. That is where they're missing it. They don't want to use the Bible to screen it. And as long as Brother Branham said it, it's absolute. Another group, the third group here in the Philippines, they made an explanation after 1963. So they could justify there's a differential in explanations of the prophet. There's progressive revelation or what. Now, we follow this prophet in going back to the scriptures. Does the scripture give clue on how the trumpet would be administered? The trumpets in the book of Revelation, chapter 8. So this is what I saw. In the Seventh-day Adventists, there are no more tribulation period. The Jehovah's Witness, there are no more tribulation period. Just the church age. In the church age, everything already took place. If you read Harry's Bible Handbook, he also talks about the trumpet judgments fulfilled in the Dark Ages. The Muslim expansion, the Crusades, and many other things. Now, this is the truth. You know the dream of Joseph. There are 7 years of plenty and there are 7 years of drought. The 7 years of plenty are parallel to the 7 years of drought. I'm talking of the dream, not of Joseph, of the Pharaoh, interpreted by Joseph. So this dream of Pharaoh of 7 years plenty and 7 years drought represents the 7 church ages in the 7 years tribulation period. So these two sets of years are parallel to each other. These 7 church ages lasted for 2,000 years. And would you agree, in that 2,000 years, there were calamities that was spoken of during the seals, the black horse, the black death. There were wars, mass genocide. Do you believe that?
Amen.
There are calamities, there are famines, there are pestilences, and of course, there is Nicolaitanism, deception, white horse rider. Now, when you go to the trumpets, there are preachers today who interpret the trumpet judgments in that time, in these last 2,000 years. Now, do we say they're wrong? Even the prophet who plays the trumpets there. Do we say they're wrong? The mystery here is parallelism. In the book of Revelation, the master key of understanding certain things is parallelism. Even the prophet talked about parallelism. So, parallelism means something happened in the past that is being repeated in the future in a different sense. If you can see that, you can see how it will happen in the future. So what I see is the trumpets are not spread out. The prophet might have preached it spread out. But the trumpets are mirror image, like 14 seals. Mirror image of each other. There are 7 trumpets in the church ages. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there are 7 trumpets in the tribulation period. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 trumpets in the church ages. There are 7 trumpets in the tribulation period. Now, are you saying there are 14 trumpets? Could be another version of that kind of intrigue. No, but God used the trumpets in the church ages as a precursor, a forerunner. Now, that's the terminology of Richard Gann. Yes, you can say gospel trump, but I would say the trumpet fulfillment in the book of Revelation in the church ages is what we call an uncertain sound. What does the Bible say? If the trumpet blows an uncertain sound, how shall they? Would you search it out? What the verse of that? What is the verse of the uncertain sound? Yes, there's Corinthians 14:15. Yeah, you can quote that. But although there are uncertain sound also in the Old Testament, would you just search for that? Now, why is this important? Why did the prophet give a message of the uncertain sound? When the trumpet blows an uncertain sound, you are not sure. 14:18? It's not 15? 14:8? Could you read? Yeah. It's a long list. Please read that. Open up your scriptures. It's a good reference.
For if the trumpet give an
Uncertain sound, how shall we prepare
themselves to the battle?
See that? You know we are also living in an uncertain sound. The brethren in the church, unless you rile them up, you warn them, they're relaxed. They don't feel any urgency. The same is happening more in the world. The world feels no urgency, even though there are many calamities that already took place for the last 2,000 years. In spite of all the calamities, they just laugh it off. It's part of nature. It's just part of natural things, calamity. It might be ancient aliens that made those calamities. So, the uncertain sound is actually a foreboding of what is going to take place. Foreboding in the future what's going to take place. What's going to take place in the future? What's going to take place in the future, the trumpet will no longer be uncertain, it becomes certain. How does the trumpet become a certain sound? When the 2 prophets preach, prophesy, 1,260 days, the world ignores them. The world could not ignore them. You read that in Revelation chapter 11. The world could not ignore them because what they prophesy, it happens right now. Could you try to prophesy to people? Yes, we do. What do the people do? They just laugh you off. It's written in 2 Peter. They mock you. They scoff at you. Where is the promise of the Lord's coming? For it just continues since the beginning of these calamities you're talking about. This unfortunate event. They refuse to see the pattern. But the scoffers are an indication. What they hear from you is an uncertain sound. The gospel trump, the message of the hour, in every age. Take note, the message of the hour is not just the last age, our age. It's in all ages. There are messages of the hour. Whatever messages of the hour they heard, they are that uncertain sound until it reached this climax of time. Let's read this climax of time to show it does not just continue like any ordinary time. A point in time where it will no longer be repeated. It never happened yet. It will never happen again. Remember the scripture? Brother Lito? There are 4 scriptures of that. I forgot the others. There are three I recall right now.
So Daniel,
Daniel 12,
Matthew,
you can look it up. Daniel 12, 1. Matthew,
16 ata.
open up. You can look it up. One of you open up Daniel 12, 1. Brother Renato, you can read Matthew chapter 24, verse 21 or 22. Open up the third verse. It's in the book of Revelation. It's in the vials. Later I'm going to talk about the vials if time will allow. The vials is a continuation of the trumpet. Open up. Matthew 24, 21. Brother George, Daniel 12, 1.
Daniel 12.
There's also in Joel. Sister Anne, could you look for it?
Daniel 12, verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of the people. And there shall be time of trouble, such as never was since there was anyone, even to that same time.
Time of trouble, such as was not since there was a nation till that
In that
time.
time thy people shall
Be
be
delivered.
delivered. Everyone that shall be found
That's in the book, that's the tribulation period. Daniel 12 and Revelation 10 are parallel to each other. And people refuse to see because they apply Revelation 10 in the church ages. Okay. Matthew chapter 24, verse 21. Is that English or Tagalog? Is it Tagalog Bible? Tagalog, or just read it. Brother Simon, read the English Matthew 24. Just read it silently there. Sister Anne, what about Joel? Maybe there's more than 4. Revelation, we're not going to read them anymore. I just wish to memorize the verse in Joel. It spoke about that time, such as was not. Okay. Tribulation, such as was not since of time, world, nor ever shall be. Okay. See? The same event in Daniel, the same event in Matthew 24, verse 21, 22. Is that 21 or 22?
21.
There's also in Revelation, when the seventh vial or sixth vial was poured out, the seventh vial, and there was great earthquake. That's in Revelation 16. Sister Anne, have you found the Joel verse? Are you looking for the verse? Try to use your cell phone. Sister Baby, you have Sister Cel, Brother Celso? Try to help out Joel. There's another scripture that talked about the same thing, same event.
I thought it's only 3.
It's 4, maybe more than 4. I might have not yet discovered. I read that in Joel before. Joel 2, what verse? What verse? Let's give the verse. I don't memorize all of them. So while you're opening up at Joel, give the verse. He's looking. Let's read Revelation. Brother Fernand, read Revelation. Is that English? Tagalog. Revelation 16, verse 17, I think, or 18. Joel speaks of a time that will never happen again. The same thing.
Joel
2:2. Did it say the same thing?
2, part 3.
Okay, read that part.
Great people is now there hath not been ever the like. Neither shall be any more after it, even to the years to be generated.
That's close, but there's something more than that. It's almost very similar to Matthew, Daniel, Revelation. Brother Fernand, could you read Revelation 16, verse 18?
16:18.
Okay. Face the recorder. Okay. Please read.
And there were voice and thunder and lightning, and there was a great earthquake, such as
Was.
10 men were upon
On
the
the
earth,
earth.
so mighty an earthquake and so great.
So, before there ever was a man, and after. So, singular event. Maybe you look at your soil, everything liquefies. You're the ground you're standing over. So, Joel, so what you read is close, but I think there are more. But anyway, let me continue. So what happened in the church ages will be repeated in a more magnified scale. Imagine all the calamities for 2,000 years. Suddenly it's poured out for just 7 years. Can you imagine that? Could you imagine all the calamities we have encountered? Can you even mix two of the calamities in our time? Example, Yolanda, Undoy, then earthquake. Could you mix at least two? You could not. It's so terrible. You mix it with war for one. But imagine for 7 years, all the calamities will be compressed into that time. So there is a certain trumpet in the ministry of the two prophets. While the fivefold minister, the star messenger, they're ignored by the world generally. Only the bride could hear the uncertain sound of the trumpet. The rest of the world is truly uncertain to them. Only to the bride's certain sound, still small voice. Not just in the ministry of the prophet, all throughout. But here in the two prophets, the unbelievers could not ignore. When they gave out a prophecy, the same chapters in the book of Revelation, chapter 8. Example, there is a trumpet there that says, a great mountain was thrown into the sea. Did that not happen in the church age? It did. There's the Krakatoa volcano and many others. There's the Caldera volcano. There was a time blacked out the sun. It happened in history. There was a time, there was a summer, winter. They could not plant crops. Many people died. But here it will be repeated in a much horrendous scale in the tribulation. So, there are two sets. It's actually the same trumpet there, but there's just a foreboding. When we say precursor, it's also forerunner. It's a forerunner of the actual. The actual is the tribulation period. And the two prophet gives out its message. It really happens. And people could not ignore it. It's really a certain sound for the world. That they will not come until there was a falling away first and the man of sin be revealed. How will be the man of sin be revealed? Because the man of sin will be, for a short hour, short time, recognized by the whole world. Well, we could not go into all detail. I'm just focused on generally on, maybe I'm going to title this, The Uncertain Sound and the Certain Sound of Trumpet. Do I already have a previous video of that? Brother Nito? Do I have a previous video? Certain Sound? Uncertain Sound? Did I title it Certain Sound? Uncertain Sound? I titled it Seven Trumpets. Well, if the title is Seven Trumpets, it should be all the trumpets in detail. But my time is very short, so this title will be Certain or Uncertain Sound of Trumpet. Now, how many minutes do I have? A few minutes. So, let's talk about parallelism. You know Malachi 4, 5, 6? You know Revelation chapter 10? You see all of them in a parallel. You read Malachi 4. What is the context of the time period? Brother Renato. Open up your Bible. Malachi chapter 4. Start from verse 1. What do you think is the time period? Check it out. Check it out. It's very good to see.
It's church ages.
Very church ages. Let's check it out. I'm glad of your answer. So it will be a challenge.
Because there is a part of spirit of Elijah.
The A part and the B part is the traditional explanation of Brother Jackson. I don't discount that, that's true, but it's also a clue for the forerunner and the precursor. Read verse 1. What is... No, it's alright, just read privately. I'm going to ask you, what do you think is the time period? Brother Celso, also open up. You can share with Brother George. Tribulation period, good. So, when you go to 5 and 6, what do you think is the time period? Go to 5 and 6. No, read straight. Verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, verse 4. So, would that still be the tribulation period? Yes, Malachi. That Elijah. Is it still the tribulation period? So, let me show you. Let me show you why. You start from verse 1, that's already the tribulation period. So when you reach verse 4, verse 5, verse 6, it's still the tribulation period. So how do we explain that verse for Brother Branham?
It really applies this in tribulation period. How will it be applied to Brother Branham?
So that's the big question. The answer is parallelism. That's the mystery. Now, the prophet doesn't have to explain it exactly that way. But you just have to see it in the scriptures. Your faith is on the scriptures with Jesus Christ. The prophet's sermons are a stepping stone so that you will be wed with Jesus Christ. If you're wed with Jesus Christ, then you are in the scripture. You can see the scripture, but others could not see. Take note, the seventh seal is not something that is written down. It's between you and the Lord Jesus Christ. He gives you a revelation deep in your heart. You can see, oh, there is parallelism here. There is parallelism here. There is a time where the fulfillment was an uncertain sound to the prophet's ministry. And there is a time when the certain sound will apply. Malachi 4. The two prophets is in Malachi 4.
The forerunner of the second phase of second.
Brother Branham is the forerunner for the two prophets.
The second coming of Christ.
Yes, the second
The
coming
prophets
will forerun
forerun
to Jesus Christ.
Forerun coming.
Second coming, you say.
Second coming. Yes. Brother Branham.
Let me clarify this. For the bride, it's Brother Branham. Because there's a secret catching away in the air. Which others... Okay, should charge this. Okay. Should you charge it? Okay. There's still another subject. English. Are you saying that Brother Branham is not the ultimate application of Malachi chapter 4? It is only a precursor. So that is what your thought. Is it right? Yes. Brother Branham is a precursor in Malachi chapter 4, verse 5 and 6, and Revelation 10:7. Later, we're going to read Revelation 10:7 at the last verse. You understand Malachi 4? Malachi 4, there's the two prophets. It's going to show you. Read verse 4. Wait, the recording. So the ultimate application of Malachi 4 is the tribulation period by the two prophet ministry. So that is the real application of Malachi chapter 4. That's the ultimate application in Revelation chapter. When I say ultimate application, because there is a precursor. So the precursor application in Malachi is like a parallel for the Gentiles. It's a mystery. Why? Because the Jews don't understand the time of the Gentiles. It's a mystery. Ephesians chapter 3. Romans 1:11-25. It's a mystery to them. That mystery is why there is a parallel. The mystery is the parallel itself. God set aside a grace age for the Gentiles before the grace goes back to the Jews.
So the mystery of God is a parallel.
The mystery is that parallel, the church age. And before this church age, imagine this is just an insertion. The ending is 69. The last week is 70th.
So,
So there was a time
insertion.
where it was a stoppage of the clock. There was a stoppage of the clock. This insertion is the parallel before all benefits goes back to Israel. So there is the falling away of the church, and there's the restoration, and there's the Elijah spirit. So, but it's an uncertain sound. An uncertain sound. When you go to the ultimate, when it reverts back to Israel, even Gentiles left on the earth will just follow their glory, their light. But there, for 2,000 years, the Gentiles had been a light, had been a light more than the full. That's what we call the fullness of the Gentiles. The fullness of the Gentiles had been a light more than the Jews for a time. Romans 11, the Romans 11. Romans 11, the wild olive tree and the natural olive branch. Sorry, in the olive tree there's a natural branch and the wild branch grafted in, while the natural branch was cut off. The natural branch that was cut off was Israel, and the wild branch that was grafted in is the Gentiles. But after that time, it will revert back to Israel. It was said there in Romans 11, don't be boastful because you were wild. I can remove you anytime. And the natural branch be grafted back in. So, have you seen in verse 4, Malachi 4:4? Who is the prophet mentioned there? Oh, verse 4. So, Malachi 4 talks about Moses and Elijah. So, Brother Branham was not originally in the picture. Brother Branham was just grafted in. We are just grafted in. We were not there. We were not written there. In the sermons, it was not necessarily explained that way. You just have to see. That's why it's called a mystery. If you can see the mystery, to you are given the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Because this mystery is only for the bride. Now, some in the message circles could understand this. If they don't have any deep indifference in their hearts, Nicolaitans spirit, they could easily see this. But if they are, their loyalties are in groups, partisans, they could not see this. Oh, you're not following the statement of the prophet. You're not exactly copying the sermon, how he explained it. Oh, we will not receive it if it comes from you. Because sometimes other message believers recognize other preachers that can explain things in the scriptures. But as long if they have a discriminatory heart, God will put it against them. So, what I'm sharing here is not very hard to understand. As long as your heart is pure, you can see them. Now, if Moses was there, then Moses and Elijah, the two prophets. Brother Branham was grafted in. Brother Branham was the uncertain sound. And not just Brother Branham, all star messengers are grafted in. Let's go to Revelation 10:7. This is the last verse. Then we're going to go to our Chronicles. What does Revelation 10:7 say? We memorize that?
In the days of the voice of the seventh angel.
We memorize that. Everyone, let's
He shall begin
Let's all say it at the same time. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, as he has declared to his servants the prophets. Now, how do they explain this? They explain this as Brother Branham's ministry. The seventh angel. Now, do you know who that seventh angel is? The time is very short. I hope I'm going to go it very fast. I'm not going to go over all the evidences. The seventh angel is the seventh trumpeting angel. They would reject that. You know why? Of course, those who teach the level 1, Jackson and Gunn. Howard, yes. So, only evil Frank is different. Only evil Frank. The seventh angel, trumpeting angel, is not the seventh angel of the church age to them.
It's not the seventh.
Except for evil Frank, which she does not usually preach. When he preached that, many people do not understand. He does not want to insist it. So it is up to us to show the detail. For them, the seventh angel in 10:7 is not a trumpeting angel. Now, I'm going to invite you to read. Brother Fernando, could you share your Bible, Brother Renato? I'm going to invite you to read, compare Revelation 10:7 and Revelation 11:15. Of course, they already forwarded that it's not the same trumpeting angel. So, please read 10:7, then 11:15. 10:7 first. Could you open up, Sister Ann?
10:7. 10:7
Compare
or
also
11:15.
11:15. Start from 10:7 first, then go to 11:15. I need microphone. No, all Renato. 10:7.
But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to speak, the mystery of God should be finished, as he hath declared amongst the prophets.
Okay. Did it sound? Did the seventh angel sound? Did it already sound?
It already sounds.
What did it say?
Shall
Shall
begin.
begin. Did it already sound? Shall begin?
It's a future tense.
Has it sounded or not yet?
No.
Shall begin.
So, when you say shall begin, is it already sounded or not yet?
Not yet.
You understand begin? Shall begin.
Di ba shall futuristic?
Pagka malapit na siya pumigil.
So, Revelation 10:7 is not relevant now.
So before we go to that, I just wish this be answered. We're recording this. Has it sounded? Not yet.
Not.
If you get the eternity.
Has it sounded? Or not yet?
During the time of John,
No, I'm talking about Branham. I'm talking
but
about
the time of Brother Branham,
Has it already sounded or not yet?
already sounded. Already sounded.
Shall begin. So you mean to say shall begin has already sounded? Is it future or past tense? Future tense or past tense?
Past tense.
Okay. So
10:7.
this is not past tense, this is future tense. When you say shall begin, pagka malapit na umihip, hindi pa umihip.
Sa panahon ni John yan. Nung
No, not John. I'm talking of the verse.
nung pinakita kasi ng prophecy yan.
Okay.
Hindi pa talaga yung lihit sa panahon.
Revelation 11:15. Let's compare. No, Brother Renato pa rin. You just open it up so you can see. I just wish to emphasize this so you can see the precursor. Trumpet. Okay. 11:15.
And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices, in heaven, saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and
Okay.
he shall reign forever and ever.
Has it sounded or not yet?
Sounded.
Sounded. In 10:7, has it sounded or not yet? Sounded in 10:7 or not yet?
Sa Revelation 10:7, ang sinabi ni John, hindi pa yun
Not
sound,
yet.
not yet.
Kayo dyan, parang sinasabi.
Oh.
Pero sa ngayon daw,
It's good that you could
nasound
see.
naman daw.
In 10:7, he shall begin to sound.
Yes,
11:15,
it was sounded.
the seventh angel sounded. That's a trumpet angel. Now, what am I saying, Brother Nato? Revelation 10:7 is not Brother Branham himself, but that angel is an angel from heaven that's going to sound the seventh trumpet. Now, you understand that's the basic, original application in the Bible. Now, let's go back to the message. The message says, it is Brother Branham. I'm talking of the sermons, the quotes. How do you reconcile them? This is how you reconcile them. He is the uncertain sound. Revelation 10:7. The place of Brother Branham in Revelation 10:7. He is the parallel of the tribulation. See?
He's included to
So you can say he is Revelation 10:7, but he, like Malachi 4:5-6, he does not own it originally. He was just a mirror image of what was to come.
There's an uncertain. Brother Branham was
Uncertain.
inside the uncertain sound.
So he was the uncertain sound. So you can still use Revelation 10:7 for Brother Branham, but
Exactly, brother.
not in the same way you use for Malachi 4:5-6.
That's definitely.
See? Because if you know Malachi 4:5-6, it is the two prophets. Then Brother Branham is just a mirror image there. Brother Branham was just grafted in.
Right.
The same way in Revelation 10:7. The seventh angel there is the seventh angel in 11:15. He has not yet sounded. But if you say he has sounded, then it is like also Brother Branham in 11:15. They're saying 11:15 is Brother Branham. If you understand parallelism, Brother Branham is also in 11:15. He's announcing the coming of the kingdom, but it's an uncertain sound.
It's not the sounding.
It's Parnell's version.
It's not the sounding.
It's level 4's version. The kingdom is already here. It's Timor's version.
Brother Francis, he is not the sounding. He is a voice of revelation.
Yes. Of course, we're not going to talk about that. There is also in the days of the voice of the seventh angel.
He's the.
But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about uncertain sound. Uncertain sound. The uncertain sound, Brother Branham would be applied to 10:7. If you don't understand uncertain sound, then you misapply. Now, if you misapply, the question here is, will God be pleased with you? It's like this. Do you purposely misapply? Or if you have had chance to understand, would you want to understand? Because if you're close-minded, you look down on others. Because it does not belong to your group or hierarchy or apostolate. Then, in God's eyes, you are unworthy. Because if you are beren, you're open-minded, as what the prophet taught. You're open for others to teach you. You can see this. It's not very hard to see. It's not very hard to see. He is not the main angel that will sound. It is a heavenly angel. Look at this illustration. Could you hold this up, Brother Fernand? The other side. Okay, never mind. Just hold the other side here for me. You look in the tribulation period. There are 7 prophets. In the last part, when the seventh angel sounded, the kingdoms of this world is become the kingdoms of our Lord and of His Christ. So, that is the ultimate application. That's the real original application of the Bible. So when you put Brother Branham in the church ages, so there's another part. It's an uncertain sound. Right now, we're living in that uncertain sound. Those people who are putting that uncertain sound as though they are the main final application. They are those that teach that it's already here. Parosha's already here. You don't have to wait for anything. It's already come. Record it for
if they said that in the time of Mother Branham, the mystery is already finished for them. So meaning to say the revelation of the two prophets is not part of the mystery.
It's a mystery to them actually. If it could be presented gradually, carefully, they could see it.
It is not.
You're talking about the traditional understanding.
No, I'm talking about they said.
William Marion Branham is the mystery has already finished. Then the mystery for the two prophets is nonsense. So it's not mystery. Because the mystery is finished for Brother Branham.
That's one point. There are many points. They claim all mysteries are already in that book, in the sermons. And there's no more mystery. You see? You can see. That means the full final end of that mystery is 11:15. Has 11:15 literally taken place already? Not yet. Has the kingdoms of this world changed hands? Has the kingdom of the world become the kingdom of our Lord and of His Christ? Not yet. Okay? So I hope you understand this. You can ask questions later.
Do they know the everlasting gospel that the two prophets will appear?
Good question. I heard level 3 teach. Have you heard of this, Brother Renato? The everlasting gospel, the three angels are Luther, Calvin, Luther, Wesley, and Barbanus. Have you heard of that teaching? Okay. So the everlasting gospel, they place it in the church age. You see? It's a parallel. There's an evidence, there's a parallel. They don't put the everlasting gospel in tribulation. But it's obvious there's an application to tribulation. That's actually the main application in the verse. When you say it's Luther, it's Wesley, it's Branham, it could be, but that is an uncertain sound. It was just grafted in for us. Only we could see that, not the whole world. But if you understand Revelation 14, the everlasting gospel, the whole world knows. The whole world shudders in fear. It's a warning to the whole world. So I hope you got the picture straight. Picture straight.
You shared it to us with almost 20 years. If they place the three angels that will announce the everlasting gospel, Luther, Wesley, Brother Branham, then the 144,000 will be the bride.
You know, what you're seeing are the many complications of the traditional interpretation in the message. And we don't condemn them because they are just a stepping stone for the ultimate understanding. If they do not want to accept, there is still a progressive revelation, then you put a period. Put a period in your faith. Then you will be left behind. I'm not saying you have to understand this to be back up in the rapture. I'm saying, is your heart sealed by the Holy Spirit? Really sealed by the Holy Spirit? Because if your heart is really, your spirit sealed by the Holy Spirit, then when you hear this voice, you know it's progressive in the scriptures. You will not reject it. You will even be interested to know. Others would not even want their members to hear from others. So also follows the leaders are not interested to learn or know from others. Or if they do, there is discrimination. 1 John 4, who is the one that loves God? He heareth us. You know how to hear. The Berean Spirit. Okay? So, you're sealed by the Spirit. Even if you do not hear this, God will seal you. But if you have the opportunity to understand this, God expects it from you. To whom much is given, much will be required. So this is a progressive understanding. What Brother Menon pointed out, there are many loopholes in the old understanding in the scriptures. So we need to progress because it is just a scaffolding for us to build the building, the foundation. Okay. So I'm going to end this. So we move to Chronicle. We still have 5 minutes there. We have 50 minutes here. So Chronicles.
Yun yung isang nakita ko